Exactly 81 years ago, the prisoners of the German death camp Auschwitz-Birkenau were liberated. Over 4.5 years of this hell on earth, more than 1.1 million people were killed. Initially, the camp was created exclusively for Poles, but after some time, Jews were also brought there. To mark the anniversary of the liberation of the prisoners, ceremonies were held today, attended by Polish President Karol Nawrocki. Although the German death camp Auschwitz-Birkenau ended its bloody activities over 8 decades ago, the stigma of those events is impossible to erase. The prisoners of this hell on earth are still alive and come to this place of torment every year to pray and pay tribute to those who were murdered. President Karol Nawrocki took part in the ceremonies commemorating the 81st anniversary of the liberation of the prisoners, laying flowers in front of a plaque commemorating the first mass transport of Poles to Auschwitz concentration camp. Since the end of World War II, Germany has been doing everything it can to wash away its responsibility for the crime. A false slogan such as Polish death camps has even appeared in the media. The truth, however, is that Germany bears responsibility for the death industry. It was the German people who supported the ideology of National Socialism and allowed Adolf Hitler to come to power. It was the German people and the German state, and the Third Reich was in fact the only functioning German state at the time, that led to the crime we know as the Holocaust. The National Socialists, led by Adolf Hitler, came to power democratically, with enormous support from the German people. The evil of the German concentration camps and the Auschwitz concentration camp was state evil. It was in a specific state that the ideology of National Socialism found its home. People brought this fate upon other people. Prisoners were dividing into those still able to work and those unable to work, who were immediately murdered. The slogan above the gate, Arbeit macht frei, or work makes you free, was a simple, vile lie. I saw people dying of starvation and torture. I heard moans, suffering, gunshots, dogs barking. I smelled burning bodies and the stench coming from the latrines. And yet I denied it. I denied to myself everything I saw, heard, felt and experienced. It all began on June the 14th, 1940, when the first transport of Poles was brought to the camp. Initially, the camp was intended for the extermination of our compatriots. Jews began to arrive in Auschwitz at the beginning of 1942. The mechanism of the crime was determined by the authorities. The mechanism of the crime was determined at the headquarters in Berlin. The mechanism of the crime was determined by Heinrich Himmler in consultation with Adolf Hitler. According to experts' calculations, the Germans murdered between 1.1 and 1.5 million people there. The liberation of the prisoners of Auschwitz-Birkenau took place on the 27th of January 1945. It was carried out by soldiers of the 1st Ukrainian Front of the Red Army. This fact has been exploited by Moscow propaganda for 80 years. The narrative is more or less as follows. The Soviets defeated the Germans, so they were the good guys. This is obvious nonsense, because if we look at the bare figures, Stalin's system, created by him and his comrades, was just as criminal, if not more so, than National Socialism. He undoubtedly murdered more people. Russia is manipulating history and portraying itself as a defender of the world, but it was Imperial Moscow in its Soviet incarnation, together with Germany, that started the war through the Ribbentrop-Molotov Pact. Friedman did not await them outside the walls of the Auschwitz concentration camp, and it was also the face of the same Soviets who enabled Adolf Hitler to start World War II in 1939, and led to the tragedy of the Holocaust, because it was Hitler and Stalin who started World War II. As a result of World War II, almost 6 million citizens of the Second Polish Republic were killed. As a result of German crimes, Poland was plunged into ruin, tears and blood, and fell under Soviet occupation. The German state owes us over 6,200 billion zloty in war reparations. However, Berlin is not willing to pay compensation, and the current Polish government is passive.